Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Show. Today is a special day because you're listening. We thank all the listeners from around the world who have tuned into the program. And unfortunately, Larry is on the road. We want to do a shout out to him as always, as he's doing good work in the world. And this is Carolyn Wilkins, your host, executive producer, and all-around good guy. So we have some wonderful guests here today, and as always, we start with some public things. But our guests include two people who are involved in an amazing program called Compassionate California. And there is a youth summit that's coming up, and we'll be talking about that in another 5 or 6 minutes when we get started. But I want to first let you know that we have Bing Bing here, who is an artist. And we also have one of the people who's a director of the program. And she goes by several names. And I know her as Lenee. And what else are you called?
Faye Love. And Felecia
Lenee.
Felecia Lenee, a.k.a. Faye Love.
Faye Love, yes. And is there Faye Love Cali or Faye Love something that you've said? It's just Faye Love.
Faye Love the artist.
Okay, Faye Love the artist. And the fact that we have Bing Bing and Faye Love here means I need a tag. So before the show is over, I'm going to have one.
All right. We can do that.
So we're going to start now with conversation about something that's so important right now. We have 19 days before the election, our presidential election. I believe many of you saw the debate last night. And if you didn't, you probably saw the summary of the debate this morning. The summary, unfortunately, doesn't really capture the context of the entire hour and a half. I thought it was a really excellent debate on one side and a very lukewarm debate on the other. But they tackled 5 major topics: the Supreme Court, discussion of women's rights, the right to abortion, the right to for a woman in managing what she does with her body. The Supreme Court, of course, is the prime prize here that's being discussed in this primary election and presidential election. Unfortunately, I think the cost around the Supreme Court is the wrong conversation. It's not that there's not going to be an opportunity to appoint judges to the Supreme Court. It is the assumption that the political party who's making the appointment will make a difference in the makeup of the Supreme Court. And everything that I have grown to know about the Supreme Court is that the judges should be able to make decisions on behalf of the country and not beholden to a party affiliation, a party endorsement. I know that there are certain legislative acts that are more popular in certain parties, but I hope that our voters continue to understand that we live in a free country. The Constitution is there for a reason. The additional amendments have been added. Some need to be rectified, and there's some discussion about changing some of the things like Amendment 13, which we'll talk about in another show. But again, when there's conversation about the election, politics, and the Supreme Court, I think we should put it in the realm that it should be, that the Supreme Court judges are nominated, the Congress should follow whatever the president has nominated, have discussion about it, and bring someone on. And whatever party is elected has that opportunity. But we hope that the rulings of the court are not specific to any one party. So I just want to say that and make sure we're looking at the higher ideal here, because we've lowered, as Michelle Obama said a couple of weeks ago, when they go low, we go high. Mm-hmm. So yes. I want to make sure we're staying in that place of the high realm. On immigration, there was a discussion about immigration, the wall, securing the border, moving an estimated 15 million people out of the country. Now, what I found very interesting is that there was no discussion about how this would be done if a certain person were elected. The only emphasis they had was you shouldn't bring more people in. But we're going to build a wall. Somebody else is going to pay for it. We're going to but push 15 million people out of our country. And the investigation did not go deeper. I know personally I would find it appalling to have people taken from their homes, from their jobs, from a place that they have relationships, even though I know some have come in illegally. There's a process that we put in place, and I'm for legal immigration. However, the fact that it has been, we've had some rights and people coming on political reasons, opportunity reasons, and the fact that so much of America, often rich households, are the ones that employ illegal immigrants, illegal farm workers, factory workers. If they weren't being employed, they may not be here. So there is an opportunity for sides to look at each other, that people didn't come without an opportunity before them. So I don't think anybody has addressed why people have immigrated to this country in the last 10 years. Why has it gotten out of hand? And who has supported illegal immigrants? We don't have another debate, but I want you all to think about that question, because that has not come up in the debates. People are here for a reason. People are here, like most of the people who came, besides the African Americans, who came without a voluntary pass to get here. Is that an easy way to say it? Yeah. But people came from other countries because this was a place of opportunity. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents all came here by boat, across lands, across oceans, to be in the land of the free, the land of opportunity. And it's no different today. So for our constituency to forget who we are, we're a land of liberty, and to take that out of the equation for what America stands for in the world, I think is a bigger problem than the Trump name, the Trump legacy. We are known as a country of freedom and liberty. So the last thing they talked about was the economy. And there's, of course, two different ways of looking at this because one is talking about tax breaks, the other is talking about adding more taxes, and the world is talking about Donald Trump not paying any taxes. So I wonder how tax breaks for the wealthy is going to really help because trickle down economics have not worked. And he is the best example that he has tax breaks and he pays no taxes. So how does that encourage the economy? So just the question, I bring up these questions. Larry likes to bring up these ideas. And I go back to the old late shows with Arsenio Hall where he'd say, makes you wonder. So I wanted to just begin the show and encourage you all to vote. Whatever you do, whatever your persuasion, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, vote. Don't do what some people are saying, which is, I can't decide, so I'm not going. This is like a choice of vanilla ice cream or chocolate. Take something. Don't just leave it there to melt because too many people have died for the vote. So now we're going to move on to conversations with our guests. And I'd like for them to each share a little bit about themselves. So Felecia, would you please start and share with the guests? We have people online as well as listening with our audience.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Reverend Wilkins, for inviting me here. And I love this space and I love this opportunity to talk about something that's so passionate, which is the youth, taking compassionate action and activism and just being out there, being the individual that can contribute to the greater whole.
Yes.
So I'm an artist. My name is Felecia Lenee. I also go by Faye Love. I've done stand-up, acting, performance, art, which is something you'll see downtown in LA, some kind of eclectic political statement. I'm that cat up in the wall, climbing the walls, making a statement about what's going on.
And she usually has something unique on. You never know what the dress is going to look like or the camouflage outfit or
That's
or
true.
The hat.
Yeah.
So
I definitely
I always enjoy that. The flair. Yes, a flair.
You noticed.
I have, yes.
So right now I'm feeling just with my youth and I'm in the spirit of just t-shirts and a stylish hat that actually was my mom's hat. I feel like I'm wearing my mom's hat these days. She was a very political figure. She ran for city commissioner when
Oh, really? Beautiful.
when in Detroit at a time when they told her not to put her face on the flyer because she could get the white vote if they didn't her name.
She didn't know they didn't know who she was.
Yeah, her name
Yes.
could pass. Corinne Williams, Corinne
Yes.
S. Williams. So you can pass. We don't know who that is. And then when they put her face on the flyer, it said, just make it a light. Don't use too much color. So it was a light black and white version where it looked really pale, a real pale face.
Yes.
But she did really good in that district. I've always, with the compassion action, the youth summit, I felt that we needed to have a conversation with the LAPD concerning Black lives. I understand Black Lives Matter is part of their program not to actually engage directly with LAPD. So I've actually got some consensus from a few members because of the way this summit is constructed, that they're willing to take a chance with the Post for Peace projects and sit down as 10 to 15 youth sitting at a table talking about subject matters that really matter, racial profiling, multiracial, my blackness matter. I'm noticing a lot of these kids coming from mixed race don't understand that they're still Black.
Yes. They don't understand that the world still sees them as black.
Exactly.
Yes, and they're counted
And
from that standpoint. Yes.
I'm not African American. I'm not of the black race. I'm of the human race.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a conversation about that, honey. So these are the things that we're gonna talk about, and also and have experts who do relationships or do workshops with these subject matters, and help mentor the youth.
Yes.
Help them give a voice and learn what it takes to be a compassionate activist. Know who your assembly members are. Know who your Congress members are. Know who the leaders in your community, the spiritual leaders in your community. In the past, our spiritual leaders have definitely been profound in civil rights movement. It doesn't seem so in today's climate as much, and that's just my perspective.
Well, they're there, but again, using technology and other things. I'm actually on phone calls with the White House once a month. I'm on phone calls.
Well, you, Reverend, I'm not. Okay, I'm here with you, so I get down with you, sis. I understand that you're about that biz, right? I understand you about that, and global works and civil rights. That's why we connect on the level that we connect.
Yes,
and
but it's quite a few people around the country.
That's why we need you mentoring me
I
so I can get it right.
That, yes.
You mentoring me so I can mentor the youth and get it right.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm surrounding myself around people. If I don't know, I'm like Oprah. I'm friends of experts, okay? So if I don't know, I'm going to surround myself with the experts in these categories. And it's just that we build a network in a community and that we can be informed and spread the truth and keep it moving.
Yes. In fact, I have the opportunity, and I appreciate and am so honored to be one of the mentors in the program.
I'm so happy to have you there.
I'm looking forward to being there. I also want to share with you, and this can be done in addition, is I participated in a program called Days of Dialogue, and they've actually been on this show, where the focus is, it's run by Avis Ridley Thomas, and it's the Institute for Nonviolence in Los Angeles, as well as a program called Days of Dialogue, where they bring police officers with a group, sometimes youth, sometimes the last one we did was LGBT community, and it included officers who were LGBT, in addition to LGBT youth and participants. And they've been doing that for quite a few years, for about 5 years. Very profound, very impactful, and transformative. So I'd be glad to
definitely
let us look at doing one of those in addition to what you're doing here. It's a beautiful program. Compassionate California, you can all look on the website to see the work that's being done. You might be aware of Compassionate Cities as a movement. And Compassionate Cities was taken off from the work of Karen Armstrong. And in California in particular, they actually created a 501c3 for Compassionate California. So this is a program.
Well, let me clarify. We're a project of Earthways.
Yes. So you're, in addition, a project of Earthways, yes.
Correct. Yes.
But you're on the, are you on the board of Compassionate California?
Yes. I'm on the leadership board for that.
Leadership board,
Yes. And the Youth Summit was a vision that came to me, honest to God, from God after a dream.
Yes.
Before the Dallas shooting, when the so-called Black Lives Matter retaliated against the LAPD. I had a dream prior to that, because I said we need to sit down and have a peaceful communication, a compassionate communication before this escalates to something else. And in July, I started constructing this idea and brought it to Compassionate California for the Youth Summit.
Beautiful.
And then I started teaming up with Carol Laurie, and she's working with the Coalitions on Gangs. Wanted her here with us today. And Kira Korsner, Post for Peace and Justice. And the Post, she's in Atlanta working right now. She's done some work at the Carter Center down there. And she's in Atlanta right now because the Post are going up on the Atlanta Beltline. They have about 16 posts up there right now exhibited. So once we're done with the post here, we're going to look for a location to exhibit our posts, and also we want to take these posts to the United Nations. We want the voices heard everywhere.
Yes. The voice of youth is so important right now.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, we have one of our voices right here. Michael Taylor, also known as Bing Bing.
Bing Bing.
Would you please introduce yourself to the audience? Let them know who you are, where you came up. Are you in L.A.? Were you born in L.A.?
Yeah, my name is Michael Bing Bing Taylor. And, again, I just want to say thank you for having me. Faye Love, I know her from Pasadena's local music scene, the Artist Eclectic Playground. Anyway, I was born and raised in foster care for the most part. So I got a pretty good perspective of what life is like, from that part of the system. I'm an artist extraordinaire. I'm an artist in the very sense of it. I just have an undying drive for creativity. And, on my artistic journey, once I realized that, I'm a reflection of what my people do, that's when I really started, becoming more community oriented, and, I started just, really trying to, bring people together, multicultural people, and, just, take a step in the right direction.
Well, thank you. I was actually at a conference yesterday with court and clergy, and these were judges from the LA court system who wanted the clergy to understand the process that one would go through from being arrested. They also had conversations about family court and other areas. And one of the statistics that my heart just opened when you were talking, and they talked about foster youth. And they said 63% of foster youth either end up in jail or dead.
Right.
And I sat there and tears just rolled down my face because I was just, I'm aware of the challenges, but just had no idea it was so devastating.
Yeah.
Can you repeat those stats again?
63% of young people in foster care wind up either in jail or dead.
Yeah.
So my heart is open to you, my arms are open to you.
Thank you.
For not only getting through the system, but for seeing something more in you that said your life has worth,
right?
That you are valuable, and you have something to give.
Yeah.
So, I think the stat was not so much it wasn't across the board, but it was 63% of foster youth that came through the system would wind up with a problem.
Right. If I may.
Yes.
Right now at such a critical age of 26, I know I'm, young, but I'm able to see, I've already done emancipation. I've been through transitional living.
Yes.
FSP and just all of the post services, right, available. And I've even gotten to the points where I've aged out of TLP, and because it's usually from 16 to 24, I believe.
Yes.
And so,
why don't you tell people what TLP is?
Yeah, Transitional Living Program is pretty much resources available to foster kids once they reach 18.
Yes.
It helps them with, workforce, education, housing. And speaking of that, that's really why, I'm looking to fill a different void in foster care. I want to actually help provide former foster youth with art-based alternatives, career alternatives.
Yes.
Because, at this day and age, when it comes to foster care, there's more resources available than ever before.
Yes.
But there's, I can't go to, an organization and be like, hey, I want to start a business or, I want to get a degree in, graphic design or something like that. But, before we get off the topic of foster kids, I do want to say this. I'm at an age where I've seen kids, I'm aged out, so I see some of the kids who are on their way to aging out, and I see some that, take advantage of the resources that are there, and then I see some that kind of have a longer time.
Now, aging out, for those who may not understand the language, is the programs have a length of time you can be in them, from 18 to 24, 18 to 22. And in the judicial system and the foster care system and the family services, the age out time is different for different programs. So what Michael is saying is that depending on where they are, they age out of a certain program, and then they have no resources. It's a resource conversation. Resources and opportunity. So I take this back to the conversations that we were having about the election. They never got to that kind of conversation. Right. When you're talking about the economy, you talk about social services, right. That has not come up with how do you work with young people? How do you work with seniors? There was no conversation about senior care. Right. Mm-hmm. And so this is what we're talking about today, is how does this system work for those who have means and those who don't have means? Right. How does it work for us to share the resources that are made available, and to not use all of the money on military
yes,
or policing? So that's just my own personal take on it, because so much of the budget in the national budget, a lot of money is in military. Yeah. In local budgets, a lot of money is in policing, especially in Los Angeles. So kudos to some of our supervisors, Mark Ridley Thomas in particular, in the work that he's doing to support the homeless initiatives, as well as Mayor Garcetti, who's doing some excellent work in trying to put millions of dollars into housing for the homeless. But it's these kind of programs that are so important to make it a world that works for everyone, right. Making Los Angeles a place that works for everyone. Now, we have some extra issues, because one of our guests last week was someone who was homeless. And so California actually has a very high homeless population, because like today, and I'm sorry to say it to those who are on the East Coast, it's 95 degrees today.
Feels good.
The message from the news was, make sure you wear your sunscreen. That was what we got in the weather. But let me get back to the conversation here with Michael, and let resources be an important part. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to interject with that too, talking about what the mayor is doing, and they're very supportive with the Compassion and Action Youth Summit. Mm-hmm. We have representatives coming from the mayor's office, and Nason, name I just threw a blank on his name right now, but it'll come back up. But a lot of people coming from their reentry department, is supporting, and the gang prevention department from the mayor's office. And we're looking at those resources, and those are the questions that I want the youth to actually ask the panel, like, how can you help us? Like you said, there should be an opportunity for you to get a grant or go to school on a stipend or whatever, to do graphic design, and maybe have an internship with the city. So we need to figure out, how can we invest in our youth, and going back to schools, not prisons, which is a topic that we have at the Compassion Action Youth Summit. So all these topics we're going to be raising. We want the youth to ask the questions. Youth are asking the questions. From 14 to 25, voting age youth, ones who can actually that are actually constituents, and need to know that they matter. Their vote matters. Yes, youth matter, not just Black lives, but our youth matter. And I watched this young man do so much. His walks. Talk about your walks.
I've done a lot of walks for causes, extreme walks. A lot of them were just very, quickly put together, and we've done them all for. Most of the walks have been done for like common principles and values, Not so much socio-political stuff because, I try not to make a target out of myself. But I also want to stand for things that I believe in,
So you want to give me an example of
Yeah,
one
so,
of the walks?
it started it started October 6, 2013. It was a Sunday. I was homeless. Most of my resource centers were closed, and I was just, I woke up in a friend's car and I was very hungry. I was starving. I didn't have anything. And I just had this burning ball of fire in my stomach. I mean, with nothing in my stomach, I just had so much energy. So much energy that I couldn't even walk it off. And I didn't know where it was coming from. So I did a little walking around town, and then, next Sunday came, and it was the same situation. Only this time, I was convinced that I was not going to have another ordinary day. So I caught the bus from Pasadena to right here, Hollywood and Vine. When I got off on Hollywood and Vine, I walked all the way to Inglewood. It wasn't my intention.
You walked from here to Inglewood.
Yes. I walked
Yes.
from Hollywood and Vine
Yes.
to La Brea and Centinela.
Yes.
And at first, I was just putting up posters, promoting my artistry.
That's about 6 miles for those who.
Well, it was
are
10.
under this. Was it 10?
It was 10, yeah, because I was eager to look it up because I think I
Yes.
did 20 miles. But when I looked it up, it was only 10. And when I realized it was only 10, then I was like, I could do more than that, But halfway through it, once I reached, I'd say like Pico or Venice in La Brea, I ran out of flyers. I'm smack dab in the middle of Pasadena and a relative's house in Inglewood. So I decided to keep going, and as I was crossing Overhill Drive, I'm thinking, I just got to prove to myself that I can go the distance, prove to me. And so I finished it, and, I ended up catching the bus back, and that Monday when I checked the distance and it wasn't that long, I realized I could do it again, and I wanted to do it again. So, and then we did the, 27-mile walk from Altadena to Gardena. We did that for breast cancer awareness and to help unite the local music scene. After that, I ran the LA Marathon, raised, about $1,000 for foster kids like me. We walked 21 miles to help end gang violence for the next generation. From West Hollywood, we started at Pink's. We walked through Watts all the way to El Camino College in Compton. That was 8 of us. I actually did that on my 24th birthday.
Wow.
As a symbol of the dedication.
Yes.
After that, we did the historical 33-mile walk for empowerment. We walked from Altadena to Long Beach. That was very intense.
Yes.
After that, we did the 42-mile walk, for love, peace, and unity in honor of Jackie Robinson.
Sounds like compassionate action to me.
Yeah. See, in Pasadena, I got this little thing. It's an initiative I started called the Robinson Boulevard Initiative. And I want to, change Washington Boulevard to Robinson Boulevard for many reasons.
Yes.
It's really another discussion, but, I have every reason why, I'm targeting Washington Boulevard specifically. And it's not to discredit George Washington for who he was, but just as a progressive African-American issue, something that people can be a part of. And there's no Robinson Boulevard anywhere in the country. I just think that, if we got 1 million MLKs, we can have one Robinson Boulevard.
That sounds right.
So I'd like to, first of all, give him a round of applause, please, because we don't have a round of applause.
I give
Well,
it to
we're
him.
going to give him a round of applause.
Right here. Yes, represent Bing Bing, a.k.a. Bing Bing.
Whatever's going on. And one of the things you said that I think is so powerful, to prove to yourself that I can do this. That is so powerful. I think that's actually behind everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
The power comes from you just knowing that
Yeah.
I can make the distance.
Right.
I can complete the distance.
Right.
And whatever I set my mind to do, I can do it.
Right.
Now, it's really the power that comes through Martin Luther King Jr.
Absolutely.
It's the power that came from Jesse Jackson and his work. It's the power that's come from all of the people dedicated to making change. I can make a difference personally.
Right.
And that's what you are proving in your life and in your work. Your work is an example and a beacon for others.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I have the opportunity of having this interview with you to let other people know how powerful you are and what our young people can do.
Yeah.
there's more for you to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can lead groups. You can lead others and help them to understand, especially the foster youth, that their history has nothing to do with their present and their future.
Right.
Because we all have a history. And it doesn't matter whose house you grew up in, everybody's got a story.
Right.
Some stories are softer than others. Some are not easy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who grew up with their parents who, I know it was for a reason, but it might have been painful for them. But I applaud you for being the brave and courageous soul that you are.
Yeah.
You are put here. I totally believe. I come from a place philosophically that says we're here for a reason. We're not just accidents of a romp in the back car or a celebration of Christmas or something.
Right.
We are here for a reason. And there's something that is calling you, that's waking you up in the middle of the night, that wakes me up in the morning. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. I'm like, what now?
Right?
But it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it happens in a way that makes me know that there's a greater idea, or greater power, greater connective force that is bringing us together. So would you say more about this conference, please?
Yes, this youth summit.
It's what days? It's October 29th and 30th.
Yes, it's a Saturday and Sunday, from 8 to 4 p.m. on Saturday and 1 to 5 on Sunday. And we're going to have one location is in Hollywood at the Celebrity Center. And the other one that we had to change locations. It's in Los Angeles. We're trying to confirm a few locations, but we're looking to go to Los Angeles. We want to ignite and also connect the communities. LA is segregated.
Yes.
People don't want to think that because it's so diverse.
Right.
This is a very segregated environment. And
so why don't you explain what you mean by that? Are
segregated
you
by
talking
class?
About is it by race, class,
everything?
Time?
So it's okay. Unlike other cities, I was talking to another artist, Saria Eden, who would be one of the mentors with All in Solidarity of Black Lives. She's from New York, and we were talking about how when you're in New York, you're on the transit system. Everybody's riding the trains. Everybody's intermingling. Everybody's doing what they do. Whoop-de-woo. But in LA, you get in your cars and you drive to your destination in your comfortable settings. And
with your music
in your world, with your friends, and there's no intrusiveness. No, you don't have to really engage in society, what's going on. You don't have to feel uncomfortable. There's no uncomfortability if you don't really want to engage and make that an effort. So with that's a challenge here with this youth summit, because you have Black activists that don't want to go to Hollywood. You have your activists that's really good at working with the community, within the community they're comfortable. Do we really want to take it down to Watts? Yes, we do want to take it down to Watts. But do we really want the people from Watts to come to Hollywood? Yes, we really do want those people to come to Hollywood. We want everybody to come together for the greater cause. I'm calling you out. I'm calling everybody out. I'm not affiliated to any political activists. Even Compassion California is an organization, but we're not like your typical Black Lives Matter or anything like that. We support the cause that Black lives do matter.
Yes.
And when we talk about that campaign, some people say, well, I believe all lives matter. Yeah, I do too. But whose lives are in danger right now?
Yes.
At a higher risk.
Well, it's so interesting. In one of the meetings I was at yesterday, I don't know why all these meetings came along, but it was with the Department of Mental Health for LA County. And there was someone there from the Los Angeles County Department of Human Relations. And they gave me, I wish I had brought it with me, but they brought a report on hate crimes. it's a whole booklet about hate crimes in Los Angeles County. And they showed the map, and they showed dots and how many, the frequency of issues. But what was so powerful is that no matter what the map looked like of Los Angeles County, there was no place that missed an issue.
Right.
So it's like, unless you lived way up in the hills or in the desert, you can't get away from the fact that there are hate crimes. Now, a lot of the hate crimes against religious groups were against the Jewish sector.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the hate crimes were against blacks from a racial standpoint. And when I saw that, a combination of blacks and Hispanics, but blacks outweighed Hispanics, and then it was Jewish from a religious standpoint. But when I saw the data, it's not that I was comforted in it, but it helped me know it's not our imagination.
Right.
That this is information that needs to come next to Black Lives Matter. I'm a statistician by education. And as a result of my bent towards statistics and technology, I always encourage people to have data to support what they did. You did that brilliantly by saying, I walked 10 miles. Because it makes a difference when people know what they've done.
Right.
When you're talking about Black Lives Matter, one of the things that can help in the conversation is to say, this is the percentage. Blacks are 8% of the population.
Right.
We have 39% of the hate crimes.
I was going to say yes.
Now, what balances that? When you look at shootings, we're a much higher percent. When you look at killings, it's higher. So when you look at jail,
It's higher.
sentencing, it's higher. So that's what people aren't hearing. They're not getting the fact that
Our lives
we
are
are
at risk.
we are misrepresented. We're overrepresented in populations we don't want to be.
And targeted.
And targeted, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So, but it's that kind of conversation. And I know a lot of young people say, I don't like math. I love math.
Right.
But math is the only way to have this kind of conversation, because you have to understand that you are overrepresented in places that you don't need to be. That our lives matter and we should not be killed. Our lives matter, we should not be in jail. Our lives matter, we should not be pulled over. Our lives matter, we should not be the victims of hate crimes.
That segue, and Black Lives actually is very good at having the facts and statistics about 38 shootings in the last year, and the police shootings, and majority of them were targeted towards African Americans, and most of them were mentally ill.
Yes,
those numbers are the numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now because I don't have the computer up, but so yeah, the facts are out there. They're presenting the facts. That's why I really became interested in their campaign. And we're looking at privilege also in the USA, and that's another post. And when we're looking at privilege, the crimes, what's considered a crime in one community is not considered a crime in another community. And I say this,
it's not necessarily not a crime.
It's not documented.
It's not documented.
And
action is not taken.
Exactly. So that's what and thank you for that
So
clarifying.
I want to clarify, because the codes, now some are city codes, but most crimes are under county regulation.
They're not documented.
They're not documented and not acted upon.
And exactly.
Yes.
And one thing that I want to say is it's uncomfortable for me because I'm able to travel in many different worlds and many different communities. And I lived up in Santa Clarita for a long time and went to quite a few of those parties up in there, and the things that was going on in those parties. If the cops come, just tone it down a little bit. Meanwhile, the kid, one of the white kids, what do you mean? tone it down, blah, blah, blah. My dad pays taxes here. Right. He paid your salary.
And
that kind of
happens to him.
Nothing happens to him. Same thing that goes down a party down in Inglewood. They send about 5 cops to shut down a party, and everybody be still, be quiet, don't say nothing, don't make any. Everybody's standing like statues, and you still want to berate us and make it seem like we're just animalistic. So that's the kind of conversation we need to actually explore and see how we can take action and get these things documented and help with the representation, the true representation of what's going out there. Because these communities go to a yacht, people are doing all kinds of things on the yacht, and you don't shut it down. You don't arrest. Those youth are not in the system. You putting our youth in the system. I asked him. I said, Bing Bing, at what age were you put in the system, the police system? Bing Bing, what age were you put in the police system, and for what activity, if you don't mind sharing?
I did. I had a first degree burglary at 16. And it was something I did. I bumped my head. I made my mistake, and I learned from it. So you'll never see me do that again. But I definitely took a ride, through it all,
And I want to respond to that. In school, these kids were stealing art supplies. They were stealing groceries. They were shoplifting
to eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they were white kids.
Yes.
And they didn't really have to. They just did it because they wanted to save their money that their families were giving to them to get drugs. To get drugs.
Oh, really?
So they would spend their allowances to get drugs and then go to the grocery store and get their food and art supplies and still necessities. Are they in the system? No. They got a slap on the face. Right. They may have had to do community service, but that once they did that, they were.
Well, the good news is, and we only have a few minutes left, is that the judicial system really understands this. I spoke to some amazing judges yesterday, and they're creating alternative systems so that when you have small crimes like that, they're providing opportunities to go to programs, 90-day programs, and if you stay in the program all the time, the crime will be wiped from your record. Now, it's not in all of the cities, it's in some of the cities, but I was really encouraged by that's the reason they had a program like that, to first of all let the clergy find out where they can assist, how they can be of support with youth, with families who are involved in the family division, and to also see how things are changing, what they're looking at doing, the vision that they have, because they understand that the cycle isn't a good one. Once you get into the system, you're in trouble. So what we're going to do as we are nearing a close, this program went so quickly, I'd like to have a final word from each of you. So Michael, Bing Bing, would you please share something very quickly? What do you want the world to know?
I want the world to know about my digital magazine. It comes out once a month on the 10th of every month. It's about art and humanities, social awareness, and any local artists looking for opportunities. We accept donations, but we do this. We have a genuine desire to promote local artists. So.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And what's the name of it?
The Wilson Block Magazine. That's the with an A, and you can just Google that. Our web, everything will come up. We just released our 44th issue. Issue 45 is coming out on November 10th. We're very excited about it. So. It's a social media digital magazine, so you can find us on Facebook and download our latest edition.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn the mic back over to Bing Bing in 1 second because
no, you can't. Your final word.
Spit 2 bars for me. We're going to have an open mic at the Compassion. We're gonna have okay. Sorry, ran out of time. I wanted to do that earlier. Yeah. We're gonna have an open mic at the Compassion and Action Youth Summit. So we want the youth to come out. There will be an open mic along with the Post for Peace and Justice Project. So youth, go on the website compassioncalifornia.org. Look for the Youth Summit. Sign up. It's free.
Yes, and there's room for 150 to 200 youth. And there's still space, so please sign up now. And as I sign off and give a shout out to Larry again, he normally says a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its women. I'm going to modify it today and say a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its youth. Peace out.